There's no need to drive around South Florida wasting valuable time looking for a new or certified pre-owned Acura. Go to the #1 volume sales dealership in the Southeast United States. Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. Purchase with pace and space in a dealership tailored to your needs. From home buying to providing that personal touch. Contact the 2020 Satisfaction Award winner Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. 888-776-5123. That's 888-776-5123. Or visit them at 15601 Pines Boulevard in Pembroke Pines. If you're a Miami sports fan, then there's only one store to go to, and that's Caneswear at Miami Fanwear in Davie. They're your one-stop shop for all your inner Miami CF, Canes, Dolphins, Panthers, and Marlins merchandise. They have hats, t-shirts, game day jerseys, and so much more. Located at 2511 South University Drive in Davie, and open 24/7 online at caneswear.com or innermiamiwear.com. Call them at 954-835-5597. Caneswear, the spot where Inner Miami and all Miami sports fans shop.
It is Thursday, and you know what that means. It's time for the Squared Circle Digest. I'm Sean Stanley. It is the beautiful, spacious studios in Miami Gardens, Florida. And, of course, it is the Thursday Night Talk. We're going to talk a little AEW Dynamite. Look ahead to Rampage. I was trying to find some SmackDown. I didn't see any actually previews for that, so I have to take a gander. I know Karrion Kross. I know they mentioned there's going to be, Karrion Kross going to be there, McIntyre, Roman Reigns, again, getting ready for Clash of the Castle and stuff like that. But last night, AEW Dynamite, and I know quite a few of you were watching it. I actually talked with a couple on social media, and don't forget you can follow me at Sean_Stanley11. That's on Twitter and Instagram. Hit me up on either one, the DMs, however you want to. And we can talk some wrestling. We can talk some sports. We'll talk some barbecue, some food, whatever. We can have some fun on there, those social media. Of course, C-Man is with me, 111 Vibe International. What's up? Tony Zagalis, what's up, my man? Terry, what's going on? I want to talk a little bit about AEW Dynamite, and I know Tony was asking some questions. I think I answered your question during the show. There was a couple I didn't get to because I started doing something else and I forgot to answer them, so I apologize. AEW Dynamite, from a fan perspective, I thought was pretty good. From a fan perspective, I thought, it delivered. Now, from business-wise, there's some questions for me. And again, maybe they're going to work it out and it'll make sense next week. But we're going to dive into a little bit about AEW Dynamite. It started with CM Punk coming down to the ring and made some comments and actually challenged Adam Page, Hangman Page. We're going to dive into that in a minute after I get done with the recap of Dynamite, because there might be something else going on behind the scenes, which will maybe make some of this make sense. Steve Chapman, good to see you, my man. All right, so they started with that. Then he started getting into the whole Jon Moxley being he's the third man in his 3-man group, and it's not the first time that he's the third man. Moxley, of course, comes out. They start fighting. It's a pull apart. Then again, later on in the night, they fight again. They get a pull apart again. And then it's announced that next week, the match that was originally booked for their pay-per-view main event is now going to be on free TV next week. It'll be Jon Moxley against CM Punk for the undisputed AEW Heavyweight Championship. Didn't make a lot of sense to me on there. This is where I'm talking about from a business side, not from a fan side. Again, doesn't make sense to me to move a match from, again, I don't know any of the plans. I don't know what they're thinking. I don't know all the thinking about what's going on behind the scenes. But the fact that you're going to take a match that's going to headline your pay-per-view and give it away on free TV, it just doesn't make sense to me. Even to suggest, again, maybe they attack Punk or they attack Moxley and the match never happens. But the fact that, to me, it reeks a little bit of desperation. It's like, hey, we're going to give you the free match. And then what happens if now they send somebody down, they attack Moxley, they attack Punk, whatever happens, and then now, oh, it's going to happen for real on the pay-per-view. To me, again, on the business side, it reeks a little bit of desperation. Another move that they did that, to me, reeked of desperation, and we talked about this whenever he was asking me about Kenny Omega coming back. Kenny Omega returned last night. He returned it as the mystery partner, which was the worst kept secret in pro wrestling, and there's never really good kept secrets in pro wrestling. But he comes out and he is the third man with the Bucks. And he maybe was at 75, maybe 80%. Why are you rushing him back to be in a trios tournament? It just does not make sense to me. And I get it. I know he's a competitor and I know he wants to be out there, and I get all that and I understand that. But man, it just, to me, the fact that you're going to sit there and then show that and then you know, and again, maybe they're building it up in the storylines because you had Don Callis and JR, and all of them were sitting there saying, oh, Omega doesn't look 100%. Omega doesn't look 100%. He's wearing braces. You know, he's got he's wearing the shirt covering up his chest and belly and all that, you know. And he just didn't look like himself, man. He struggled to do his one-winged angel move at the end. I mean, it just, to me, it wasn't a good showing of what I would want to see Kenny Omega come back for. And again, with all the injuries and the stuff that he fought through before, he may never be 100%. But damn it, give me the best version of Kenny Omega that you can. Don't rush him back for a damn trios tournament. You're telling me the Bucks and Omega can't win the damn thing after the tournament? Again, to me, business-wise, fan-wise, I loved it. Business-wise, doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I like the Daniel Garcia, Bryan Danielson match, the best 2 out of 3. I thought that match was great. I like the fact that now they might get Garcia going on his own, getting away from the Jericho Appreciation Society. Daniel Garcia, to me, in AEW has a future. If he's in WWE, no, it's the land of giants. In AEW, Daniel Garcia has a future. And it'll be very interesting to see, again, does he go Blackpool Combat Club? Does he stay on his own? Does he get mentored by Daniel Bryan? A lot of, Bryan Danielson. Sorry. Bryan Danielson. I apologize. The American Dragon. And then also Ricky the Dragon Steamboat made an appearance and was the guest timekeeper in Charleston, West Virginia. Okay, let's throw Ricky Steamboat on there. And then they do a backstage segment and he gets involved and he gets physical with one of the Jericho Appreciation Society. Again, some of the stuff just, to me, it's feeling forced. Like they're kind of losing control a little bit in the back to me. And again, there's supposed to be some changes on the way. Don't know when those changes are going to happen. They may already be sort of in the process. And maybe like Mike McDaniel says, maybe we need to trust and follow the process and be like the 70, although this process looks more like the 76ers process. And maybe not the Dolphins, hopefully. Then they had, I thought the Christian and Jungle Boy Look, man, I like what they're doing with this whole thing. I like the fact, Christian, again, the veteran Jungle Boy, the young upstart, they brought him along as a team. Then he turned on him, and now they're slowly doing this. I like the build that they're doing there. I even like that from a business side for AEW. I think they're doing, again, not everything they're doing is bad business-wise either. Now, don't get me wrong here. I'm not sitting here trying to crush AEW. As I said, from a fan side, I loved everything I saw on TV. But from the business side, rushing back Kenny Omega doesn't make sense. Moving your pay-per-view main event to free TV sure as hell doesn't make sense. Then you had the Gun Club. They turned on their dad. And then Acclaim made the save. And now you're back to scissor me, daddy ass. So now we've got the Acclaim back with Billy Gunn there. I thought Kylan King, some of you guys know her from the CCW days. Or from CCW. She's still there, not from the CCW days. She looked pretty good against Toni Storm. I thought they had a good match. Toni Storm getting set to take on Thunder Rosa now, since the injury to Jamie Hayter. So now, as I said, they moved the match of CM Punk and Jon Moxley to free TV. So now here goes the card right now. So far, the card. Now, this is on September 4th, okay? So what is September 4th? What is that, 3 weeks away now? Probably 3 weeks away from this pay-per-view. This is what they have so far confirmed for the Trios Championship Final. Thunder Rosa against Toni Storm for the AEW Women's Championship. Eddie Kingston against Sammy Guevara. And then because the Trios Championship title match, the finals, isn't important enough, they booked another Trios match and put the Pinnacle, FTR and Wardlow, against Lethal, Satnam Singh, and Sanjay Dutt. So now that's what you have. And now you want me to go out and spend $50 on a pay-per-view that looks like that. I hope they have a good plan for this. I really do, man, because when I saw that, and I was texting, who was I talking to? It was Frankie Fresco, actually. Frankie Fresco. And me were going back and forth. And he's like, and I DVR'd the show, so I was a little behind him. He's like, can you believe they moved the championship match to free TV? And I said, what? And I just put desperation in caps. To me, it feels like a desperate move. Even if you're doing something storyline-wise, and you end up pushing it back to the fact that you have to make that announcement to try to get people to tune in, to me, speaks of desperation. And, there's a story I'm going to get into in a minute. I want to jump here into questions real quick and see what we got here. Since I taught, Anthony Manzano jumped in. He said, I can't believe what we were talking about when I told you that it would have made sense for WWE to call NXT UK, NXT Europe. Yeah. And I'm gonna dive into that a little bit later on, Anthony, on there. So, and there were some cuts today, NXT UK. There were some releases today. So, we'll see where they go, but they're going to NXT Europe. That will happen. We'll discuss that a little bit more here in a little bit. Anthony also said, it seems like Daniel Garcia is slowly moving away from Jericho Appreciation Society, and I feel it might end up going towards Blackpool Combat Club. Look, man, I hope they break him away. I don't know that you can't put everybody that can fight or wrestle, wrestlers in the Blackpool Combat Club either. Then who they wrestle? I hope he gets a push and just leave him on his own, man. I'm not saying that he can't be mentored by Bryan Danielson and Blackpool Combat Club. I don't think he needs to become a member. I think he just needs to be there and be Daniel Garcia. Terry says, I think AEW is really worried about Triple H taking over creative in WWE. It's definitely something that they need to keep their eye on and the temperature level on because, again, It's refreshing. It's new. It's one of those things that it has brought fresh air into WWE, where everything was being. It's like Spaceballs, right at the end, the Statue of Liberty with the vacuum. It was just sucking out everything. Now Triple H went up there and he pushed the blow button, and it's just blowing everything right back into WWE now. It's giving them fresh air. It's like a new life. And that's kind of where right now I feel like it is. But again, right now it's the bright, shiny toy. Does it stick? That's what we need to see over the thing. Because right now, the first 4 weeks, it's been good. It's been real good. I want to go into this story a little bit about CM Punk here. This was sent out through Fightful Select. And again, it's not a report. It's just some notes that they had kind of received. And I'm going to kind of read the whole thing. It's a little bit long, but stick with me because I think you're going to see maybe some of the possible dysfunction behind the AEW curtain. All right, so we're going to get into this. It says, CM Punk challenged Hangman Page to a rematch on the August 17th edition of AEW Dynamite. But according to Wrestler Observer, it wasn't planned. And then they were able to confirm that that was never planned. He was never supposed to call out Adam Page. It was supposed to be just Jon Moxley. It goes in further into the story of why he did what he did. It says Punk defeated Hangman Page at AEW Double or Nothing earlier this year before being forced away from the ring for several months. Before that, however, there was word that Punk and Hangman Page didn't see eye to eye on some promo material that emerged on an episode of Dynamite that built their match. Fightful has been told that it was to the point that CM Punk met with AEW higher-ups about the context of Hangman Page's promo. Voices of Wrestling had noted that they heard that Punk had told others after the meeting in May that he wouldn't lose to Hangman Page. Fightful was told by several within AEW that they felt the situation that unfolded on the August 17th episode of Dynamite was unfair to Hangman Page if he wasn't aware of it. One said even if he was aware of it, what would he have done? Charged to the ring past Tony Khan, interrupted a promo he wasn't supposed to be a part of? There was no way Hangman Page could win in that situation. We're told Hangman Page was in the building, but haven't heard how he responded in any particular way. Those that we spoke to said that Adam isn't a confrontational person and is generally well-liked among the roster. It said the belief among several on the roster we spoke to was that Punk believed Hangman went into business for himself leading into their Double or Nothing match, and that Punk have seen the August 17th promo as a receipt. It's important to note that was locker room speculation as opposed to Punk telling anyone that directly. From Punk's ends of things, there was a Hangman promo that alluded to Punk's issues with Colt Cabana that didn't sit well with Punk. There were also another promo happened during a week where Punk wasn't at the show that accelerated it. They said that Punk's shot at Hangman happened with Hangman present, and that's how that person close to Punk justified it. Sources familiar with the situation claim that CM Punk has often verbally expressed his displeasure about things, including recently so blatantly that they thought he might end up quitting the company. Those close to him said he might have almost decided to stay home instead of coming to the August 17th Dynamite last night, but don't think he would have quit. He says, we haven't been given any indication that he plans on leaving AEW, but one veteran said they have heard of threats being levied. Fightful was told that the Moxley vs. Punk match for August 24th of Dynamite was a late decision and hadn't been told how late, and when asked AEW higher-ups for context, none were given. So that's giving you an idea of where they stand with CM Punk right now. And I know there's been a couple tweets that went out where it went back to the Triple H promo with CM Punk, where, CM Punk's idea of change is CM Punk being the champ, and John Cena did the same thing where, the loudest voice you ever had was when they turned your mic off, so it's one of those things to where, man, there's some dysfunction. And I remember the one report that said the reason why they ended up doing what they did creatively by making bringing more people and elevating them into creatively is because a person with high power threatened to quit. And now you hear the story of CM Punk. And again, all these are just, mumblings from backstage. Nothing from CM Punk's side, nothing from things like that. But when you look at that dysfunction right there, and now all of a sudden they move the championship match from the pay-per-view to next week, is there more to worry about? Again, it's pro wrestling. This could just be fuel for the fire to set up CM Punk and Adam Page down the line as well. But when you look at that and you looked at the trouble he had in WWE, right? It was they needed to make a change. And he's probably right. They probably did need to make changes. And you're seeing that now. But it's starting to become, CM Punk knows he's the main guy. He knows he's their champ. And the fact that you go out there and look, if you have a problem with somebody and you go to higher ups at that point, why does there need to be a receipt? Especially, why are you calling out somebody that what are they going to do? Come to the ring? It just, a lot of the stuff just doesn't make sense. And I know C-Man sent me the tweet earlier with Triple H, and it was like a minute and 45 seconds where he's bashing. It's the promo where he's talking to CM Punk, and CM Punk, he's like, you need the change. He says, when you say change, you know what you mean. You want you to be the champion. And if you're not the champion, then the change isn't right for CM Punk. And when I was looking at that and I had read that, it makes me wonder what is going on with AEW, because I'll tell you right now, only one name really moves the needle for AEW right now, and that's CM Punk. And if he's not happy, and hey, I'm not going to say that he's leaving, but maybe he does the honors to Moxley, drops the title, loses the title, and he goes. He doesn't need AEW. AEW needs him. He doesn't need AEW. So there's something else that's going to be very, very interesting to see play out. And again, all this could just be facilitated in so that they can turn this into some other type of angle coming out the back end. Because you haven't seen Hangman Adam Page, right? When the Young Bucks asked him if he'd be their partner, he said, "No, I'm letting Dark Order do their thing. I'll cheer them on." But other than that, what has he done? Not a lot. So now are they laying low to start building back up Hangman Adam Page to go after CM Punk? Again, with pro wrestling, half of what you see, none of what you hear. A couple things also. Rampage, looking ahead to Rampage tomorrow night. Not going to give you the spoilers, but if you want them, you can go online and get them. And again, not sure why they do this with Rampage, but it is what it is. Keith Lee and Swerve will take on Private Party in an AEW tag team title match. You have the FTW title, Hook versus Zach Clayton. Buddy Matthews with Julia Hart will take on Serpentico. Athena takes on Penelope Ford. And in the trios tournament, Best Friends, which is Orange Cassidy and Best Friends, will take on the Trust Busters. And then I think Claudio is going to come out and issue an open challenge for the Ring of Honor honor title on AEW TV. So, but again, you want those results? Go to anywhere online, hit up Rampage results, and you can go ahead and check that out. NXT Europe. I'm going to jump over to WWE now. NXT Europe is looking to be branded to launch around 2023. There's releases today of NXT UK talent, and then also a lot of the NXT UK talent is going to be flown in to do When Worlds Collide, which is going to be on Sunday, September 4th at 4 p.m. Eastern in the United States. Why is that important? Because at 8 p.m. Eastern in the United States, AEW All Out will be on. Both pay-per-views will be on the same day. So we'll have to see how that goes there with NXT. There was one story also talking about NXT. Kevin Nash, he does his own little podcast now called In the Click, the Kevin Nash podcast. And he talked a little bit about the NXT brand and Triple H. When he said, he said Triple H's got an eye for talent, that's for sure. Look at the people that he's kind of handpicked and pushed up on the WWE product on Raw. And every time one of them went up there, it was just like, how quick can we dismantle what got him over and F this dude up? It was just like when he got sick, he had the heart episode. They couldn't get down to NXT quick enough and dismantle what he had built. And then he went farther in, and he said he tried to talk to Shawn Michaels because Shawn Michaels now is in charge of NXT. NXT UK, NXT Europe, all that. Shawn Michaels is kind of running right now. And he said he asked Shawn about it, but Shawn was just like, Shawn has changed. He's just not a shit disturber anymore. He just does his job. He does it well. He does the best he can, and he goes home to his family. So there's kind of where your NXT, that's where they're at. They're going to go NXT Europe, and I think that's better. I think it's better than NXT because when you start going, with the Europe, when you're looking at, again, look at the talent that's come from over. Rhea Ripley, Nikki ASH, well, at the time, a lot of the guys that was with, were they called Sanity in WWE, or was that when Eric Young was in Impact? Am I mixing the two up? I think the group was Sanity. Most of those guys were also from Europe, so it's going to be very interesting with Triple H, with NXT product and what he does with it. And then also now, again, Vince McMahon is hands are not in the cookie jar anymore. Does Shawn Michaels break out of that shell a little bit more now and actually have fun and make it something and have fun with the product? Because again, when Vince tells you, hey, I want this guy doing this, and this, okay, no problem, Vince. That's what you're going to get. When it was him and Triple H running and they had Adam Cole and Roderick Strong and Kyle O'Reilly and hell, Ciampa, Gargano, when you had all those guys, when they showed the backstage area, those guys were having fun, man. If they can get back to that, I think you can see some changes in NXT too. So it's going to be interesting to see, again, the advancement of the product. Look, Raw and SmackDown are doing good right now. Will the product of NXT advance? We'll have to see about that. Let's see. Johnny Wrestling. Yes. And hopefully maybe he comes back, man. Maybe it's going to be very interesting to see what happens with some of these guys, man. Because, again, Johnny Gargano is one of those guys. He was pretty damn smart again, they made good money. They made decent money. And if they, did the right thing with him and Candice LeRae, they had a baby, they were doing the family stuff. So they probably did the proper thing, putting money away and everything like that, bought a house and everything else. Do you need to go back to WWE? Now it's a want thing. And does he want to work with Triple H? I believe you'll see Johnny Gargano in WWE. I also believe you're going to see Sasha Banks and Naomi back in WWE. I also believe Bray Wyatt will return to WWE. So I think you're going to see a lot of changes coming in. And I think, look, man, the only thing I can also throw in with the AEW changing the title match is that they have some blockbuster, something happening on the pay-per-view that's going to just change the direction. And what that is, honestly, I mean, I don't know, because if you look at it and say, oh, they went and they signed Bray Wyatt and now he's going to be the person, does that change your thoughts on AEW's product? The one person, if they just bring in Bray Wyatt, does that change the thought of your belief in AEW? Because to me, I just look, if they bring in Bray Wyatt and CM Punk is there, I look at Bray Wyatt versus CM Punk and I don't know, maybe I'm wrong and I'm probably in the minority here, but I just don't like that match. I don't think the two styles match up. I think it would be just I just don't think that match would be good. And also, I don't know how the hell you debut Bray Wyatt in 2 weeks and not have a build up to it. Or even a bigger story. I don't know. Again, I'm trying to think out loud because business-wise, it just doesn't make sense. From a fan standpoint, hell yeah, throw more stuff on free TV. Throw the whole goddamn pay-per-view on free TV. That way I don't have to pay the $49.99. But from a business standpoint, again, it's the D word. It's the D word. Yeah, C-Man was saying Braun, but I just, look, my thing is, Braun doesn't move nothing to me moves the needle. I think you get better drawing with Moxley against CM Punk. I don't know what's going on here. I don't. And none of it makes sense to me as far as from a business standpoint to why you would want to move it. I mean, even if you have people tune in and the match gets whatever, they get attacked or whatever, and now you move it back, you still just, it looks like a ratings ploy. And that's going to be, and I've seen a couple of times on the thing here, MJF. Look, even if it's MJF, does that change any? I mean, I get it from an AEW fan standpoint, that hell of a move, bring back MJF. But from a business standpoint, does that change anything? We've already seen CM Punk MJF all the way to a dog collar match. So you bring back MJF to take on CM Punk for the title? I mean, yeah, he's been gone for a while. So yeah, when you bring him back, but again, to me, that's something you want to build up to. It's not something, you know what? Here we go. Let's see. Let's see if we can do this. All right. So they go to start the match, right? They're doing the match. All of a sudden, I don't know, a masked man hits the ring, hits both of them with the chair, lays them all out. Whips off the mask. It's MJF. And it's a triple threat now at September 4th at the pay-per-view. CM Punk versus Moxley, and then they add MJF in because both of them want a shot at MJF. Does that change anything for you now? Does a triple threat match at the pay-per-view with MJF added now, does that move the needle for you? Because for me, again, it does not. And I look at anybody that's been released, I look at any of the stars right now, and I'm like, nothing to me makes sense business-wise. One more story I wanted to get into, and this is a pretty funny story, actually, because I don't know if you guys remember the what was it? When they released the money that Vince McMahon had spent, they said there was $5 million. They couldn't figure out what it went to. There was $5 million sitting there that they couldn't figure it out. Well, it's been figured out. The money went to Donald Trump. That's right. Donald Trump got the $5 million. He got $4 million donated to his charity, to the Trump Foundation, for his appearance in the hair versus hair match back at WrestleMania 23. It was Bobby Lashley versus Umaga. Bobby Lashley was handpicked by Donald Trump. Umaga was handpicked by Vincent Kennedy McMahon. It was the battle of the billionaires, hair versus hair. And Bobby Lashley wins, Vince McMahon. And actually, I believe they put Stone Cold in as a special guest referee after everything was said and done, too. Because if I'm not mistaken, I believe after everything was said and done and the head shaved and everything, I believe Trump took a stunner from Stone Cold at that time. So $4 million goes to the Trump Foundation. And then Trump said, because of the success of his appearance, Vince McMahon gave him another $1 million because of the success. The lawyers are saying it was the contracted fee that he was going to get an appearance fee of $1 million for showing up. That's where the other $1 million came from. So who you want to believe, Donald Trump or the lawyer? But that is not even the funniest part about all this. Donald Trump did not trust Vincent Kennedy McMahon to make sure that he was going to have his head shaved. Donald Trump wanted to make sure that his head was not going to be the one getting shaved. He went so far to have his associates review the contract to ensure that under no circumstance Mr. McMahon would be allowed to shave his head. Even listen to this. This is in the contract. If Mr. Trump's wrestler dropped dead in the ring. So if Bobby Lashley is wrestling and he drops dead in the ring and Umaga pins him, Trump's head still could not have been shaved. I can't believe this happening in pro wrestling. Can't believe it's happening in pro wrestling. I mean, in a contract, it says even if the wrestler drops dead. My goodness. But at least now the $5 million. So now I guess apparently all that money that Vince, paid a hush money and everything else, we figured it out now. All the money's there. Vince is gone. Triple H is in. It's no longer suck. Now it's blow. WWE looks like it's going the right way. I think AEW, it's got some things to change. It's good time to be a wrestling fan. It really is. I know I've poo-pooed on AEW a lot here today. But as a fan, it is a good time because I can watch wrestling every night and be entertained now. I had to sit through 3 hours of Raw and want to poke my eyeballs out every time. Look, just so you know, I have scissors right here for when I had to watch Raw, just in case. I would take my own eyeballs out if I had to watch another one of Vince McMahon's goddamn Raws. All right, let's see what we got here. C-Man. Yes, and you can say wrestling. There you go. And wrestler. And hospital. I can't believe hospital is a banned word. What the hell? Blood is a banned word. What do you say? There's red stuff running down his face? The crimson mask? I mean, it really is. It's kind of odd on some of the words that are banned. Just let the guys call the action in the ring. Let them throw some pop culture references in there. And let's just have some damn fun. It's pro wrestling, people. It's pro wrestling. But so those are my thoughts on the current state of wrestling as we see them. If you got any other questions, go ahead and throw them in the chat. And don't forget to reach out on social media at Sean_Stanley11. Of course, you can hit me up there in the DMs as well. Roman Reigns and Drew. Oh, that's the SmackDown stuff. Roman Reigns and Drew McIntyre will go head face to face in at SmackDown. It's the tag team tournament. Nikita Lyons and Zoe Stark from NXT is going to take on Natalya and Sonya Deville. There's going to be a Viking funeral with the Viking Raiders paying respects to the New Day. I'm very intrigued in that one as well, too, man. I look, man. I know Big E's injured and Kofi and Kofi's getting up there. Apollo, they've been around. They're having fun. But I like what's going on with the Viking Raiders. I like the fact that they're actually making them, ass kickers like they were in NXT. That's what set them apart. They didn't, you're Viking Raiders and you go out there and I didn't understand the whole thing. And again, it goes back to what Kevin Nash was saying on his thing. Everything Triple H built these guys up to be in NXT, they get to WWE and it's exact opposite. You know what? Let's bring the Viking Raiders up. And actually, I think they changed their name when they came up. I believe there's something else at the beginning in NXT. I don't believe they're the Viking Raiders. I believe there was something else, and their name got changed. And then they became a parody and a comedy, and it was just, it's just the Street Profits. It was the Street Profits and them. They were doing the axe throwing, and it just kind of became a comedy tag team. Man, let them kick ass. That's what they do. That's what they should do. Let's see here. Steve says, who would have thought wrestling wouldn't stop sucking until after Vince McMahon was gone? You know what, man? It's so funny, right? Because everything he did that was so good for pro wrestling, it's like, but then again, now, how long has he held it back? How long has Vince McMahon held wrestling back from being like something even more? Because he had his vision, and that was the only vision that he wanted to see. There's a new book out by I think it's Brian Gerwitz. He was a lead writer back in the day, and now he works for Rock at $7 production. But he goes into details on a lot of stories behind the scenes and talks a lot about, just Vince McMahon in general. He was on with Zaslow this week too. And I caught one of the stories where, they're like, he asked him about, did Vince always rip up the scripts right before TV? And he said, no, he didn't rip the whole script up, but what he would do was he would always change something in the script. But then when you change one thing, what happens? It becomes a ripple effect because now you're moving this guy to this segment. So now we got to figure out how to finish that segment. So ultimately, what would happen is they would have to rewrite the whole show because Vince wanted to start changing things around. So Vince didn't rip up the script. No, he just changed a few things, and then they had to figure out how to make it work. So it's very interesting there. Sean, why do you think Vince had so many banned words? Dude, because Vince is in charge. So Vince could beat his chest. I am the man. Do as I say. No pro wrestling. No wrestlers. You're sports entertainers. You know what I'm saying? And to be honest, I think some of it goes back to where, let's be honest, right? They're independent performers, right? If you start calling them, wrestlers and everything else and other words, now are you setting up somebody to be able to be like, look, they call us this on the show, so we're no longer independent performers. Again, it's very silly to me that again, you're paid a lot of money to be an independent performer. A lot of money some of these guys are paid. Think about it. Cody Rhodes makes $3 million a year, and he's an independent performer. So let's see. Terry says, Steve said, Terry, my thoughts on that are because he was trying to get away from being, referred to as athletic event, away from athletic commission regulations and be considered entertainment instead. But the funny part about it is there's a lot of athletic commissions that still you have to have a license. The funny thing about it was they flew me to Missouri, and I couldn't wrestle on the Missouri cards because I was not sanctioned by the Missouri Athletic because I didn't have a card. I ended up getting one while I was there, but the first few shows I couldn't do, and I could only wrestle. But I drove across the border because they did shows in Illinois, like in Granite City. We were in St. Louis. They drove across to Granite City to do a show. I was fine. Didn't have to have an athletic card. But there are some athletic commissions that you still use. They have licenses still, man. There's some that no matter what you do, you have to have the license. And originally I wasn't on those St. Louis cards, which is why I wasn't going to have one. But then some people flight and stuff like that. So I ended up being on a couple, but it was very interesting to see War Raiders. Okay. Yep. So Viking Raiders were the War Raiders. That's right. Thank you, Steve, man. I appreciate that. But it does go back. I think Terry, like Steve said there too, is he wants to stay away from being, a sport. It's sports entertainment, and that's why he calls them sports entertainers instead of wrestlers. I think Steve's kind of hit it on the head there too. But then also I think it sets them apart from being, they're still independent performers. They're not hired by, but it's funny though, because if they, their contracts have 90-day no compete clauses, but they do get paid for those 90 days. So it's not a bad little gig if you can get it. I'll tell you that much right now. All right, guys, man. I want to thank everybody here at Thursday Night Talk. It was great. Steve, Terry, Tony, Dad, I know you're on there. Jaime, what's going on? All in California. Anthony, of course. Let's see. Tony, 111 Vibe. Appreciate you all, man, being on here on this Thursday night. Don't forget, we'll be back here on Tuesday night. Hold on 1 minute. Let me get my... I got a lot of editing to do, so I'm at the bust open my Edge drink here real quick. Oh, wait. Terry jumped in here real quick. How do you think the Seth Rollins-Riddle feud will end? I think what you're going to see is, let's see, when's Cody due back? Cody's due back in September, I believe. So I think you're going to see Riddle and Seth Rollins spread out a little bit until all of a sudden Cody, I believe, comes in and we'll see. That's how it'll end. I think it'll be definitely Cody will be the end of that because, man, they got a ways to go with this feud. You can play it pretty good because I don't think they have an idea for either one of them right now. That's why they're together. And sometimes those end up being the best feuds, but they know they need Seth Rollins on TV. They know they need Riddle on TV. So why not put the two of them together and just let them have some badass matches? So we'll see what happens. And Steve might be right. It'll just fizzle out. But I think it's just to build up till Cody comes back. That's because once Cody comes back, it's Cody Rollins for a while. With the way they took Cody out with Rollins doing it, that's the match. That's the feud that's got to happen. How they get to it, Riddle's in that little category there. All right, bro. All right, bro. All right, guys. Appreciate you all. EWD Jr., appreciate you, my man. And don't forget, follow social media at Sean_Stanley11. C-Man, is that your handle right there? No?
No, it's if you can follow me at Twitter at Chad90MFC.
So, okay. All right. So
no, Chad90MFC, follow me on Twitter. I'm not doing too much except retweeting what we're doing over here. So
yeah, no, I mean, yeah, but it'll be fun. It'll be fun. Yeah. We'll get you going. We'll get you making more stuff, man.
No, for sure. I mean, YouTube
Riddle reminds me of Cherry Von Erich. What? Oh, maybe the look, but not the physique. And I guess when Kerry talked, yeah, he was a little bit out there because he was, yeah, maybe, you know what, Tony? Yeah, you might be able to talk me into that a little bit because the way he did talk, except when he was yelling at the Freebirds, it was pretty laid back and everything there. But in the words of the great Gordon Soley, so long from the Sunshine State.
If you're a Miami sports fan, then there's only one store to go to, and that's Caneswear at Miami Fanwear in Davie. They're your one-stop shop for all your Inter Miami CF, Canes, Dolphins,